Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
President Park Geun-hye appoints the new welfare minister, widely opposed by the opposition, along with Prosecutor General and Chief State Auditor, possibly fueling a prolonged parliamentary standoff.
Tensions continue to boil in Northeast Asia over air defense zones. We'll have an expert coming in later to tell us more.
And our economic daily this morning zooms in on a first, and it involves the virtual currency, Bitcoin, coming up on In Print.
Also on Korea Today, the world's first curved smartphones. If you're looking for a cool gadget to impress your friends with, we'll show you Samsung's Galaxy Round and LG's G Flex. Are headaches giving you a headache? They can easily be treated with simple medication, but sometimes they are signs of something worse. We'll tell you more about it on this Tuesday, December 3rd, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Good morning to you all. It's relatively a warm morning here in Seoul, but we have something else to worry about this afternoon. We're expecting a thick layer of smog coming from China, and weather experts are saying the level of fine particulate matter will reach up to 120 micrograms per cubic meter later on in the afternoon around quitting time, so make sure to wear a mask on your way out of the office.
That's right. Experts also warn that these particles adhere to fog quite easily, so if it is foggy outside, then you might want to refrain from outdoor activities. And for senior citizens as well as people that are suffering from respiratory problems, staying indoors might be the answer today.
Right. All right. We'll turn to Na Young-kyung for a check of the stories we're following at this hour.
Despite strong objections from the main opposition party, President Park Geun-hye has gone ahead with the confirmation of 3 key government posts, including the new Prosecutor General. Former senior prosecutor Kim Jin-tae will now head the nation's prosecution. Former chief judge of the Seoul District Court, Hwang Chan-hyun, will serve as chief state auditor, while former senior researcher at the Korea Development Institute, Moon Hyung-pyo, will lead the Welfare Ministry. President Park stressed the newly appointed officials should work toward rooting out any abnormal practices, adding nobody in any case defies the nation's democratic principles. The ruling Saenuri Party welcomed the president's decision, but the main opposition Democratic Party slammed the appointment, saying President Park has completely disregarded the National Assembly's opinion. And speaking of, the National Assembly has officially failed to meet the legal deadline to pass next year's budget bill as of the end of Monday. This comes as no surprise, many say, as this has been the trend for the past 11 years. But what has people worried this year is that the bill hasn't even been submitted to the Special Budget Review Committee. The ruling and opposition party leaderships met on Monday to resolve their ongoing political deadlock, not only about the budget bill, but also about other various issues, such as whether to launch an independent investigation into the spy agency's alleged election meddling. Going into the meeting, they seemed hopeful.
Despite the many difficulties that we have, I believe we should try to become a parliament that the people can be proud of.
Many things are out of place, but I hope today's meeting will restore politics and produce a solution for normalizing the situation.
The two sides talked behind closed doors for about 80 minutes, but came out empty-handed, aside from agreeing to meet again Tuesday morning. But insiders are not optimistic, saying the gap between the two parties is too great to narrow down. Korea and the U.S. have reportedly been talking about revising Korea's air defense zone, also known as the KADIS, ever since China announced its air defense zone last month, citing Korea's ambassador to the U.S., An Ho-young. The Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency reports the two sides have been closely working together to possibly expand the KADIS. However, he stressed it's too soon to jump to any conclusions regarding Washington's stance at the moment. Meanwhile, Korean government officials have postponed their meeting with ruling party lawmakers to discuss expanding the country's air defense zone. The meeting was originally scheduled to take place on Tuesday. Analysts say they might be waiting to see the results of U.S. Vice President Joe Biden's trip to Japan and China. Biden is currently in Tokyo on the first leg of his three-nation trip to Northeast Asia. After wrapping up his meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Biden will also hold talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing before arriving in Korea on Thursday. It may just be a regular promotion at the world's largest smartphone maker, but many are interpreting it as a gradual transition of power from Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Gun-hee to his three children. His youngest daughter, Lee Se-yeon, now former vice president of Samsung Group affiliate Jail Industries, is included in the list of 8 people who have been promoted as president.
She has built the foundation for the company to grow by securing new growth engines. We expect she will take another leap forward in the fashion business after it merges with Samsung Everland.
Her promotion comes a year after the eldest son, Chae-yong, became the vice chairman of Samsung Electronics, and 3 years after her older sister, Poo-jin, was promoted to president of Hotel Silla, another Samsung Group affiliate. 5 out of the 8 promoted personnel were from Samsung Electronics. The group emphasized the decision was based strictly on the performance of each affiliate.
And good morning, everyone. It's now time for a swift look through your newspaper headlines. Continuing developments on the political front. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front page of 동아일보. Its main headline reads, rival parties agonize over independent investigation and budget deal. Now, the subheadlines sum it up there. Number 1, the talks between rival parties will resume today after seeing no conclusion yesterday. 2, some in the ruling Saenuri party say they could consider relenting on the main opposition party's demand for an independent investigation on the spy agency scandal if it cooperates on passing other pending bills, including the budget bill. And finally, the paper says we could see a dramatic settlement before the end of this calendar year. So certainly a lot of eyes watching that meeting between the leaderships today. Now, in light of the ongoing political impasse, 중앙일보's headline reads, passing 15 economic bills would stimulate 27 trillion won, or about $25.5 billion in investment. The subheadlines give an example of SK, whose hands and a $453 million investment are tied because of a regulation still waiting to be reviewed. They also have one economics professor from Korea University, Oh Jong-gun, forecasting that the cost of not passing next year's budget and related bills in time could translate to a cut of about 1 percentage point in next year's growth outlook, an effect that surely will be felt by the middle and lower class, an emphasis there of the graveness of the ongoing political strife. Moving on to 조선일보, its main headline this morning reads, modern history being removed on UNESCO fever. The paper going on to say that the central and regional governments are aiming for UNESCO World Heritage Site designation at some 60 sites. And this is affecting, even threatening, the existence of the sites around them. Case in point is a 120-year-old Dongdaemun church, the church where Korean men and women held their first joint worship service. It is facing demolition, the paper says, because the nearby Hanyang Dosong Fortress Wall is preparing itself for UNESCO consideration, and related authorities want to build a park where the church stands. The paper says there are voices of concern questioning whether wrecking newer sites of historical value for the glory of other older sites is the way to go. And scooting over to Gyeongyang-shinmun, we'll go ahead and take a look at this story here. The headline brings us back to the political sphere. It reads, President Park says denying the Constitution should be dealt with strictly. President Park Geun-hye is said to have given the instruction to then Prosecutor General nominee Kim Jin-tae following his appointment ceremony, and the paper reads into this statement as a reflection of the president's will to deal strongly with those rejecting the results of the last presidential race, both in political circles and the opposition at large there. We'll go ahead and wrap things up with a look at the Korea Economic Daily today. We'll go ahead and take a look at this headline. It reads, "First store to accept Bitcoin as currency appears." Now, Bitcoin, if you didn't know, is a digital currency that uses cryptography to secure transactions. And the article says is accepted in tens of thousands of outlets in the U.S., China, and Cyprus, but has only been used as an investment vehicle in Korea. That is, until now. The first outlet in Korea to accept the digital currency is a Paris baguette store near Incheon City Hall Station, as seen in the small sign pictured here. The transaction, the reporter says, took about 10 seconds via smartphone applications, about the same time as it would take to pay for your taxi fare with your credit card. The owner is said to have said his interest was piqued by his two sons, especially after the virtual currency regained attention in April following its sudden rise in value. Perhaps we'll include Bitcoin exchange rates on our market rundown one day, but for now, we'll wrap your look at what's in print there. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday's market action.
Time now to get a closer look at the weather conditions for today.
Yes, we will. And also a look at the outside conditions because we are expecting a little bit of particulate pollution. We'll head on over to Lee Ta-mi. Good morning, Ta-mi.
Good morning.
Just like
it's Christmas here already.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm reporting live from Jongno-gu Seoul. Yes, I am dressed up in a special outfit today, but I will be explaining that a little bit later. First, with the weather. Temperature-wise, it is slightly warmer compared to yesterday. Right now, it is 5.1 degrees Celsius. Now, most of the nation will be seeing clear skies throughout the day. However, here in the central regions, we are starting out with partly cloudy skies, and there are still some thick patches of fog in some areas, so please be careful on the roads. Now, Minjang and Young mentioned this in the beginning of the show, but as the day progresses, the level of fine dust will be on the rise as there is some toxic smog coming in from China, so make sure to carry around those masks with you today. And all in all, maybe canceling those outdoor activities might be a good idea. So with that said, let's go ahead and check the mercury levels around the peninsula. Here in the nation's capital, highs will rise to 10, Daejeon and Gwangju at 11, Gangneung at 12, Daegu, Busan, and Jeju at 13 degrees. Enjoy the weather while you can because after the snow that's forecast next Monday, temperatures will be dropping significantly. That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in just a few moments.
On November 23rd, the Chinese government announced its new air defense identification zone above the East China Sea. An air defense identification zone is not recognized as a country's airspace by international law, but it is an area designated so that countries can identify and take measures against aircraft that are approaching their respective airspace. China's unilateral announcement of its air defense zone covers most of the area above the East China Sea, bordered by Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. In particular, the disputed Senkaku Islands, claimed by Japan, referred to as the Diaoyu Islands by China, are also included, raising much protest from Tokyo.
This looks like an attempt from China to fight back against Japan's air defense zone using this designation, so that it includes the disputed Senkaku Islands. It's also a sign of China's military confidence.
Korea was also affected by this announcement as China's air defense zone included its territory Eodo. Seoul strongly denounced this move, saying that it will not acknowledge the newly proposed area.
We have delivered a clear message stating that the move is regrettable and that we demand China revise its decision. We are reviewing the possibility of expanding Korea's air defense identification zone for the interest of our national security and are still in the process of making this decision.
To oppose China's move, Japan is moving to expand its air defense identification zone. Tokyo's defense ministry has begun reviewing the possibility of expanding its air defense zone to include the Ogasawara Islands in the Pacific Ocean, which are 1,000 kilometers away from Tokyo. And the U.S. is also standing firm against China in its military alliance with Japan. On Friday, Tokyo and Washington conducted a joint military drill in the waters off of Okinawa within China's newly announced air defense zone.
This unilateral action appears to be an attempt to unilaterally change the status quo in the East China Sea. Thus will raise regional tensions and increase the risk of miscalculation, confrontation, and accidents.
Subsequently, combat aircraft from the U.S., Japan, and China have all passed through the controversial air zone. In addition, aircraft carriers from the three countries have also assembled in the waters of the East China Sea, raising tensions in the region.
The conflict will continue to escalate, but that's how things will progress. From the mid or long-term perspective, air defense zones will be designated upon the agreement of the countries involved.
As the controversy continues concerning China's new air defense zone, many are looking for a solution to bring peace and stability to the region.
So will there be a solution to bring peace and stability to the region? For that and more, we have Dr. Kim Cheol-woo from the Korea Institute for Defense Analyses here in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good to be here.
Unlike a country's airspace, like we heard in the report, an air defense identification zone does not have any basis in international law. So why does it have all the countries involved up in arms?
The air defense identification zone is not bound by, like you said, international law, but it is a setup outside a country's territorial airspace to discern between civilian and military aircrafts for their national security. But the problem here is like China's case, China can demand all aircraft there to file flight plans in advance and identify them. If they can notice and verify the unidentified aircraft, they can scramble their, kind of alerting fighter jets to check out whether it is a civilian aircraft or intrusion of the other countries. That will make a big mistake or miscalculation by the radar operating officers or even fighter jets. Korea experienced in the early 1980s from the Russian and then Soviet Union's fighter pilots actually fired to the civilian aircraft. That's the scary thing in scenario. So it's not a political or a strategic game. It's a very critical game because the response time is very short. But human beings cannot go up there without the aircraft. So the operator in the ground can say everything. So that's why it's getting more complicated.
So it doesn't have any basis in international law, but it can be unilaterally announced like this case. But the Korean government is reportedly mulling over redrawing Korea's air defense zone, but it is also maintaining a really careful approach. So what option does Korea have right now, and what stance should Korea take?
Actually, China started against the Japanese territorial disputes regarding the Senkaku or Diaoyu Islands. But the problem to this Seoul's case is Seoul has been exempted in the Eodo and the submerged rock down to the Jeju-do Island. So Seoul regards this case as an intrusion of Korean sovereignty. So I think the Korea should and could expand the territorial Korean Cadiz to the up to the Eodo area. The point is what's the consequences will happen with expanding that step. So I think China will take this step as a kind of their version of Chinese style of brinkmanship. We've heard a lot of stuff from the North Korean case, but in this case, China is trying to project their power to the Pacific, to the eastern side. So that's why I'd like to describe this case for the Korea case. Korea is very serious dilemma, how to solve this problem.
Right.
But I think that we can actually hand by hand with the United States and Japan. So the collaboration among three countries is very important because China is trying to alter the status quo of this air territorial zone.
So it's not only about just drawing out their respective air defense zones, but it's really political issues going on underneath all of this.
Yes,
and how does the U.S. come into play? I mean, Japan has been very apparent in their stance that it's against China's newly set air defense zone. And U.S. Vice President Joe Biden is currently on his 3 Asian nation trip to try to ease tensions. But I mean, given Washington's need to maintain its presence in the region, what would the U.S. try to, or what position will the U.S. try to take?
My understanding is that China's unilateral declaration of this Cadiz and Chadiz is not all of a sudden behavior. It's very premeditated preparation too. So United States has been exploring to counter against the so-called Chinese anti-access, anti-driner maneuver, which basically simply saying that China is trying to, cover their East China Sea area even to the Pacific area. So they are preparing that. So the basic understructure of this kind of military tension here is the Chinese and the United States rivalry. But surrogating, struggling powers, Korea and Japan is the overlapping this region. It's very getting complicated. Basically, the big power of the United States and China is competing in this region. So I think the United States will not recognize the Chinese unilateral air defense zone. So I think United States Pacific Fleet and Police Command will respond with a very decisive way. They would not recognize Chinese unilateral actions anymore.
So U.S. Vice President Joe Biden is set to talk with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and also with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. So I know you're no fortune teller, but what do you think will what do you think will come out of their meeting regarding this topic?
Joe Biden will, not escalate these tensions more unintended way. And I think Joe Biden will soothe down a little bit to calm down. But China will step forward and then look around what will happen next step. And the Chinese approach has been the kind of a long-term perspective, long-term approach.
Right.
They studied something, but they look around and think about it. The United States civilian aircraft, interestingly, according to the New York Times, and United States civilian aircraft even reported to Chinese authority to in advance their civilian aircraft's flight plans, and it's very significant. Which means that the United States would not want to see the escalation of the out of control situation
in the region.
So I think the Joe Biden's very strategic maneuver at this critical juncture will make a difference. I hope so.
Okay. And having said all of this, what other issues, very briefly, can we expect to surface in this power battle?
The East Asian paradox is getting more severe. Economic cooperation independence is more than usual. It's very intertwined way, but in terms of security tension, it's the other way of the coin. We don't lose the importance of the North Korean nuclear cases. So I think all concerned parties should take their own wisdom instead of escalating, boosting all struggles, that's not the
Right.
pretty idea.
Let's
at
just
this
calm down and talk about it and resolve the matter.
The miscalculation is the critical thing, and misjudgment, miscalculation. We have to avoid those kind of hectic, happening in up there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim Chul-woo, for joining us and sharing your insight today this morning.
Thank you.
And time now to look at the world's first curved smartphones. When we have them right here, I know you're really excited about these.
I am very excited. First,
this is Samsung Electronics Galaxy Round, and this is LG Electronics
G-Flex.
G-Flex, that's right.
Okay, so you can see both models, and they're about the same size. They all have the colored display as well as the LED screen, but the curvature is slightly different. We'll first take a look at, if we could zoom in on the Samsung, this is the Round. It curves on a vertical axis, while the G-Flex, it curves on a horizontal
And I'll show you
one.
something neat too. You can actually put it down and flex it like this.
That's right. It's not called G-Flex for no reason. I mean, you can actually really flex it.
This
So
flexible technology, this curved smartphones, it's a big step forward in technology, and tech companies are scrambling to have a piece of the curved pie, if you will. So let's take a look at this report and find out more about these smartphones and much more.
Two of Korea's tech leaders, Samsung and LG Electronics, are the top two domestic rivals competing with the best of their homegrown technology. And recently, they have captured the attention of the world with their latest curved display smartphones. Extensive research is ongoing across the world into flexible displays that bend back and forth with ease. But it's the first time in the world that the smartphones with curved displays have been put out on the market.
The reason why the curved smartphone is receiving so much attention worldwide is because it is the starting point for technology development that will be needed in the future for wearable computers and devices. So with these curved smartphones, it will create opportunities for wearable computers to develop into glasses, watches, wigs, clothes, and many other industries.
What made this technology possible is the use of the new material, graphene. Graphene comes from graphite and is stronger than steel and carries electricity more effectively than silicon. It's considered a material with endless possibilities.
Just like it was used in the curved smartphone this time, graphene is a great material that can replace silicon. It has good optical effects, so it can replace transparent electrodes. It's innovative in the use for various electric materials and system materials, opening up new possibilities for industries as a miracle material.
Curved display smartphones have opened up the gateway for transformations in the market. Let's take a look at each device. Samsung's Galaxy Round was the first to stir up a sensation with its curved display. And not long after, LG put out its own G-Flex with an emphasis on its flexibility. The most notable difference is the direction in which the phones are curved. While the Galaxy Round is curved along a vertical axis, the G-Flex is curved along a horizontal axis. The reason why the two companies put out curved phones is because of the comfort that these curves provide. This is taking into consideration the ergonomics of the hands and face, which come in contact with smartphones the most. As smartphones continue to evolve, what do people think about these curved phones?
I feel like the curved smartphone will be stronger than other products and it'll fit well in the hand, so it'll be easier to use.
Because it's slightly curved, I think if someone stepped on it or if you drop it, it won't break as easily. Maybe it might reduce the repair costs that many consumers have to deal with.
To get a look at some of the strengths of these phones in more detail, the Samsung Galaxy Round is easier to read thanks to the display curved left to right, and it fits better in the hand. LG's G Flex, because of its display that is curved top to bottom, provides better angled views, making things look more three-dimensional when watching videos. Not only that, the phone fits well on the face, allowing for better call quality. In terms of the advancement of technology and the curvature itself, the G Flex is one step ahead. Because the battery of the phone is also curved, you can bend it slightly against its curve.
You can think of it as the two companies, Samsung and LG, leading the trends in this smartphone technology in the global market. So to see smartphones that utilize truly flexible displays, I think it will take another 2 to 3 years.
Bloomberg reports that the new iPhone 6, slated for release in the second half of next year, would follow suit with a curved screen, adding testament to the curved screen trend. In Korea, currently development is ongoing to come up with parts inside the phone that can all be bendable for a true flexible phone.
And still ahead, from one idea to a bunch of ideas, Korea's best inventions and creations are put on display at the Korea Invention Patent Exhibition 2013. We look at what ideas are making waves this year and which unique inventions are grabbing the attention of companies and developers. And it's day 2 of the Salvation Army's kettle drive. So have you two taken part in this?
Not yet.
Me neither. I have yet to see that red kettle myself.
No, we have not been out and about to do so. But Tommy is exactly at a location where they are conducting a kettle drive. So we'll take it over to...
Maybe she can pitch in for us.
You know what,
right?
Tommy, while you're at it, we're hoping that you actually make a donation for us. We'll pay you.
Right, we'll pay you later. Over to you, Tommy.
Make it generous, too.
Yes, I will. I definitely will. Right now, I'm back reporting live from Gwanghwamun, Seoul, and it's December, that time of the year where giving and sharing love is very popular. And one way that you can do this is through the Salvation Army Red Kettle Drive. As you can see, there's this huge red kettle right next to me. Now, the donation campaign opened up last week on the 27th with its annual ringing of the bell ceremony, but the actual kettle drive started just yesterday. Now, all throughout Korea, there are about 350 different kettles that you can find. And the Salvation Army, their target this year is at 5.5 billion won, which is about $5.2 million. Now, in order to achieve this goal, there are about 50,000 volunteers that are lending volunteers to lend a help, whether it be at churches or toll gates and other areas. Now, the Salvation Army was founded back in 1865 in London by Minister William Booth. It is present in 126 countries around the globe, running charity shops, operating shelters for the homeless, and providing disaster relief and humanitarian aid to developing countries. Now, they started back in the year 1908 here in Korea, and it's been over 100 years of history in sharing and supporting the community. Now, the Red Kettle Drive actually started out first in the States as a fundraising project to provide a free Christmas dinner for the people that are in need, but now it has spread all across the world. Now, I want to go ahead and show you a way that you can take participation in the Red Kettle Drive. So these days, you can pay by, of course, cash or coins, but if you don't have any cash on you, you can always donate through the digital Red Kettle. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and press a button. Oops. Okay, and then I'll have to do is, there you go. And then voila, I donated. Yay, there you go. So you can also use the AIR system where you can donate as well. Now, these donations will be spent to help those in need towards welfare facilities, also multicultural families, and many more. Now, the amount that you donate is not what's important. It's about the giving and sharing of the love and helping those in need. So why not come by and give some donations towards the Salvation Army Red Kettle Drive. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
And thank you very much. That was Itami with a very nervous Salvation Army bell shaker. Well, anyhow, she did make the donation, and the target goal is at 5.5 billion won. That's roughly about 5.1 million US dollars. So let's hurry up and get to that goal by the end of this year.
That's right. All right. Also in the news, the Korea Invention Patent Exhibition 2013 came to a close just yesterday. Inventions from 31 countries were on display. It was a big festival for inventors and for businesses trying to buy those inventions. And our Travis Klein was there. Good morning to you.
So I was. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, most of the inventions throughout the course of history have caused a paradigm shift in the way that people probably think, interact, and basically live with the world around them. So when you think about like all the inventions that you use on a daily basis that you take for granted, there are so many, right? What do you guys think are probably one of the greatest inventions of all time?
I would say a bottle opener.
Okay. That's not a very sophisticated invention there. But I think of a washing machine, maybe a dishwasher.
A smartphone also. I think it's really changed the lives of everyone around us.
There's so many different inventions, right? You have the automobile, you have the internet, you have alternating and direct current that's harnessed into power and electricity, and all these different things that are quite innovative. But today we're going to take a look at some things that quite possibly might change the world. Who knows? We'll take a look.
Korea's Invention Patent Exhibition, which is in its 32nd year now, took place at COEX in the Gangnam district of Seoul. At the show, some 100 intellectual property rights and award-winning inventions created by companies and individuals were put on display.
This is a great opportunity to dig up creative ideas in the country and put them on display, to encourage greater understanding about intellectual property rights.
The types of inventions were just as varied as the different personalities and viewpoints of their creators.
So what is this? It's an elevator or what?
This invention can be used as an evacuation spot in the case of fires or other dangerous situations.
This invention, which can easily open up with the pull of a lever, in the case of fires or accidents, can hold up to 6 people and withstand up to 100 kilograms of external pressure.
Even if the temperatures at the surface reaches up to 1,000 degrees, there is no heat conducting to the inside. Also, it has a double gas gate, so it blocks off the smoke, making it a multi-purpose fire protection equipment.
This invention was also developed to protect people from the dangers of fire, with its mouthpiece-formed mask that can block out toxic gases. There are also simple inventions for the use in daily life, such as this power strip, which pops power plugs out with the push of a button.
So if you've ever had trouble trying to unplug something, well, here's the solution.
This door opens with one simple touch, giving those with physical difficulties easy access to the door. This multi-purpose wash basin drew the attention of many passerbys. It allows you to wash your feet standing, which would be of great help to the elderly or those with disabilities.
Well, it feels like I could stay under there forever because my foot is so clean and is so relaxed now. I don't want to walk anymore.
These sneakers are electrically charged. It serves multiple functions such as heating and cooling using direct current power. The user can change the temperature of the shoes according to his or her needs.
This actually has a heating and cooling system. Right now, I have the heating pad on, and so I guess on cold winter days, which are to come very soon here in Korea.
Next, there's a back strengthening device, which was developed by fusing it with scientific rules and principles. And this amphibious bicycle is great because it's easy to use. People can use it on a regular basis as a means of transportation to and from work, and with simple assembly, it can be transformed into a water leisure bike.
You know, a lot of people might think to themselves, man, I wish I had something that would do this for me, or I wish I had something like that. Well, here, those ideas are being transformed into reality, making life a little bit easier for all of us.
More inventions in the future are expected to come to life through exhibitions such as this and help the country gain a stronger foothold in technology development.
That's
some
very
novel
cool.
ideas.
Yeah, some of the stuff that we see, it makes you go ooh, and then ah, and then some of it makes you go huh. You know, so there's a lot of different
Makes the head
reactions.
tilt, yes.
Exactly. Okay, so the Kinpex, it looks like there's a lot of items there, but aside from the items, what kind of people participate? Are they inventors or small companies? Tell us
Well,
about
most of the people there were from companies or they were individual inventors. The eldest of the inventors was 75 years old.
Wow.
Apparently he invented or he has this process of creating high purity hydrogen chloride. So he's very Walter White, I guess.
Scientist.
Yeah, basically he's like a chemist and it's very varied depending on their occupation, the types of inventions that they do have. Like for instance, I met a police officer who found it very inconvenient to work out a lot of times because they have time constraints. They're always busy because they're police officers. And so he has like this punching ball and this punching bag that you whip up in a second and then you take it around wherever you want to go and then you just kind of work out.
Interesting.
Stress-free. Sometimes you get mad at someone, you can just go ahead and punch that thing.
When you see all the different inventions that are being displayed, though, a lot of times you wonder, has anyone not thought of anything? Like, is there anything else to think of that we can invent?
Love to do, right?
Exactly.
So how do these inventions that are on display become commercial products? Because I know Hyungyang is interested in that feet washing machine.
I am very
and
interested
Young in
that
those shoes.
The
those
shoes,
feet.
they give you an extra inches, a couple of
And
centimeters.
they make your feet nice and dry.
Yeah,
You
there
don't
was
have smelly feet.
I'm not suggesting anything.
there was assistance at Kinpex to allow the companies and the individuals to meet those prospective who want to actually make these ideas into reality. So they had something they called holding purchase consulting sessions for companies in and outside of Korea. So you have like on and offline companies, small investment, just any type of investment companies, or those who are like offline distributors and open market buyers to connect with the different inventors to actually make these ideas into reality and then start producing them and maybe something that we might see in the future here in Korea and to export abroad.
All right, so when will I be able to get my hands on those feet washer machines?
And the
in
shoes,
the near
the
future,
air-conditioned
hopefully?
shoes.
Well, the thing is a lot of the items that you saw on the report are pretty much available, obviously from various different countries, all these different types. Most of the inventions were there patented for their utility model and of course for their design, so they're pretty much readily to be commercialized. What happens normally is in the patent process, obviously none of us are patent lawyers, but if you make your own patent, what's the big goal that you're looking for is a company to buy that patent so that they can produce it. And so one example that we did see in the report was that emergency sort of box slash elevator. Exactly. So apparently that has already been integrated in some of the different apartment buildings in around Seoul and something that we'll probably see a lot in the future. But I'm still waiting for that invention where you have a teleporter, where you can teleport from one place to another in an instant.
You'll have to wait another,
Science fiction, I guess,
100 years for that.
And then you'll have a fly enter the teleporter with you, and then you'll turn into a half fly, half human being. You don't want to mess with stuff like that. Well, anyhow, thank you very
Travis,
much
for this story.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, we'll be talking about headaches during winter. People seem to suffer a bit more from headaches, and it comes in different forms, sometimes with sharp pain or other times with a dull throb. It's a common experience for many, especially under high stress, but for some, it may be a sign of a greater illness. We'll take a look at what to look out for.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off in the KBO. Now, of course, with the growing popularity of baseball here in the nation, the importance of the Players Association is ever so high. So for the first time in the league history, the Players Association held its Players' Choice Award on Monday. With 8 different award winners being chosen by the players in the KBO, Nexon Heroes first baseman Park Byung-ho won the Player of the Year award, as well as the fans' vote for the Star Player of the Year. Also, this year's KBO Rookie of the Year, Lee Jae-hak of the NC Dinos won the Players' Choice Rookie of the Year honors, proving to be the top rookie in the league. Meanwhile, the head of the Players Association and Kia Tigers pitcher Seo Jae-ung hopes to keep the association strong and continue to host the award ceremony each year. Moving on, in a few days' time, the 2014 Brazil World Cup drawing will take place at Costa do Suípe, Brazil. And as for the Taeguk Warriors, they're hoping for a nice, easy draw. With Korea in pot 2 in the World Cup draw, the worst draw they can ask for is with Spain, France, and Portugal. And while the chances of having those 3 European teams in the same group is highly unlikely, Korea hopes to be drawn against Switzerland, Algeria, and Russia in order for them to increase their chances of advancing to the next round. Now, fans all around the world will wait for December 6th when the drawing will take place at 1 p.m. local time. Moving on with the rise in popularity of baseball here in the nation, like I mentioned, the attendance rate in the K-League Classic has dipped tremendously. But there's another sport that's seeing less and less fans come out, even though it's during the KBL's off-season. Now, the KBL, or the Korean Basketball League, was at one point one of the more popular sports here in the nation. However, with less and less fans turning up to the arena, it seems like the KBL was dying in popularity. But not online, though, according to a recent report by the AGB Nielsen. Recent numbers show that the KBL had over 130,000 buzzes since the start of the season, a number that only trails the KBO and the K-League Classic. Now, it turns out basketball is quite popular amongst the younger generation of the Koreans. And now finishing things off, the 2013 KLPGA Award ceremony took place on Monday with some of the top golfers in Korea taking center stage. So let's take a look at who some of the winners were. The stars of this year's KLPGA came off the field to celebrate the closing of the season. Also, many people gathered to congratulate them and cheer on their achievements. The award ceremony opened with an impressive performance, bringing all the players who battled on the field together. And it was Chang Ha-na who grabbed the spotlight of the event this year, sweeping the Player of the Year and also winning #1 in prize money, as well as recording the most wins of the year.
I think moving forward one step at a time helped me win this big award. And I will aim higher next year with big dreams and start over with fresh goals.
The Rookie of the Year went to 18-year-old super rookie Kim Hyo-ju.
The Rookie of the Year award was something I wanted to win ahead of the season, so I'm really happy, and I'll take it as a message to try harder and do better next year.
The Best Dresser award, which is decided by the votes from press members and fans, went to Yang Soo-jin and Kim Se-young. With this, the heated competition this year comes to an end, and much more is expected in the next coming season. Well, congratulations to all the winners, and that is going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
The winter brings a combination of changes in temperature as well as dry indoor air, which apparently leads to frequent headaches. Joining us is Dr. Alice Hyun-kyung-dan to tell us more.
Good morning, doctor.
Hi, good morning. So headaches are certainly one of the most common causes of outpatient doctor visits. And although the vast majority of benign headaches fall into 3 categories: cluster headaches, migraine headaches, and tension-type headaches. Headaches can also be the secondary sign of something much more severe going on underneath. So this is a very important topic that everyone should learn about.
Okay, we'll see this next report and find out a bit more about these frequent headaches.
This is Park Shin-hye. She suffers from chronic headaches that keep her from working at least 3 days a week.
I have severe headaches. I'd say I get them at least 2 or 3 times a week.
And recently, the number of patients suffering from headaches has been on the rise. 90% of the world population suffers from headaches. And out of Koreans, some 3 million people are estimated to suffer from chronic headaches that last for more than 15 days in a month. At the hospital, patients undergo brain imaging, a cerebral blood flow measurement, and a brain wave test in order to determine the cause of headaches. Tension headaches are caused by the lack of oxygen in the head due to low blood circulation. It creates tension in the lower neck, shoulders, and temples. Migraines usually occur when the meninges surrounding the brain and the nerves and the muscles react to or stimulate a third nerve. 40% of migraines occur on both sides of the head, while 60% affect only one side. That's why migraines are not limited to headaches that occur on only one side of the head.
In the case of migraines, we use medication to reduce the frequency of these headaches. And in the case of tension headaches, we use muscle relief treatment or offer psychological therapy to prevent a reoccurrence.
Recently, Botox treatment, commonly used for aesthetic purposes, can also be used to relieve pain. It helps people by paralyzing the muscles near the blood vessels that lead to the brain. In Oriental medicine, acupuncture helps stimulate the circulation of the energy and blood in the body. And moxibustion on the very top of the head helps reduce the heat in the head. Not only that, because bad posture can also lead to headaches, doctors correct your posture if it looks as if it could be the cause of headaches.
If there is bad energy in the heart because of stress, or if the person has nausea due to indigestion, we see it as something coming from the overall body that can lead to headaches.
For those who have light headaches, it helps to push down on pressure points to alleviate the pain. But of the various types of headaches, there is one type that can be dangerous if treatment is not carried out in a timely way. They are secondary headaches.
Secondary headaches refer to headaches that are caused by organic diseases in the brain. For example, if the person has suffered a stroke or has a brain tumor or hydrocephalus, it can cause headaches.
If headaches are accompanied with bloodshot and dry eyes, it may be a sign of acute glaucoma. If you are experiencing jaw pain along with headaches, it may be a sign of a disorder in the joints of the jaw. Also, if the headaches come with discomfort in the arms and legs and also cause language disabilities, it may be a sign of a stroke.
There's no actual way to tell the difference between primary and secondary headaches. But if you're experiencing a new type of headache after the age of 50, or if someone with existing headaches experiences nausea or high fevers, there's a high possibility that it's from secondary causes, so you should consult a doctor in these cases.
Headaches should not be taken lightly. It's important to examine the headaches you experience and receive appropriate treatment.
Okay, so you're suffering from these headaches. When do you go see a doctor? When is it too much? When is it time to see a doctor?
Right, so there is a simple self-assessment questionnaire that you can take to assess how severe are your headaches and when you should go see a doctor. And it consists of 6 simple questions, including how often have you had a headache that you consider to be severe? Or how often has this headache limited your daily functioning? In other words, it's prevented you from going to work or going to class or doing your chores. Also, how often have you had a headache in the last 4 weeks that has affected your concentration? The answers are scaled, and if you get above 56 points, then that might indicate that you should see a doctor about your headaches.
Right.
And I know you all filled out this questionnaire
this
this morning, and Minjung, you came in with a really low score of 42. Also, Young, your score was low at 38. However, Hyunkyung, you scored 52, which is what I would consider a borderline score. So if your headaches become any more severe, you may want to seek medical assistance.
Who's giving you this headache?
Probably me.
Then I shall remain silent on.
It's the first time I'm actually happy to receive a low score. But some say if parents have headaches, then their children have headaches too. Does genetics have anything to do with headaches?
Yes, so this is definitely true for migraine headaches. So up to 90% of migraine sufferers will have a family member who also has migraines. Scientists have actually discovered very recently a genetic mutation that might be the cause of migraine headaches in some people. And this is good news because this may lead to more targeted treatments for migraines.
I see.
Okay, well, what about relying on pills? Like many people make a habit out of taking ibuprofen or aspirin, for example.
Right, so the majority of over-the-counter or non-prescription medications for headaches contain, as you mentioned, ibuprofen, naproxen, acetaminophen, or caffeine. There are daily limits to how much you can take of these medications because of possible toxicities to the liver or kidney, but also your body can get dependent on these medications, and this can lead to something called analgesia withdrawal headache. In other words, once you stop the medicine, it can actually be the cause of a headache.
So,
yeah,
when
so you need to be careful.
Caffeine, we're talking about coffee here.
Right, the active ingredient in coffee. You should try to limit the amount of pills that you take to less than 8 times a month.
And I also heard that once you get migraine and then if you don't treat it and it becomes a full-blown stage, then it's harder to actually treat the migraine.
Yes. That is a really good question, and that's an important principle of treatment of migraines. I tell my patients, you need to take your migraine medicines as soon as you have this hint that, my headache is starting, because early treatment leads to better chances of cure. If you wait until the migraine is full-blown, as you said, it can actually be very difficult to treat. It may require multiple medications, and some patients actually have to be hospitalized to treat their severe headache.
Okay, well, thank you so much, doctor. And while we try to figure out who's giving Hyunkyung a headache, right, after the show, we'll have to get to that in a minute. All right, thank you for watching. That's our show for today.
All right, have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And do stay headache-free.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.